You have a 401k question. You have a Roth IRA tab open. You've got a friend telling you to buy index funds, another one saying real estate is the only real wealth, and somewhere in the back of your head there's a voice asking if you should just pay off your student loans first. And meanwhile, you have $400 in savings. Here's the thing, none of those conversations matter yet. Not because they're wrong, but because you're trying to build a house starting with the roof. There is one number you need to hit before any other financial move makes sense, and almost nobody talks about it in the right way. That number is $10,000. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why, not just financially, but psychologically. Because what happens in your brain when you cross that threshold is more powerful than any investment return you'll find in your 20s or 30s. Stick with me. Let's be honest about where most people actually are. You're earning somewhere between $35,000 and $80,000 a year. You're not broke. You're not rich. You're somewhere in the middle of a financial fog, making enough to feel like you should have more saved, but never quite getting there. Every time you build a little momentum, something happens. A car repair, a medical bill, a flight home for the holidays, and you're back to zero. That's not a discipline problem. That's a design problem. And this is the part most people miss when your savings account is below a certain threshold. Your brain is operating in scarcity mode, whether you feel it consciously or not. Every financial decision you make from that mental state is subtly distorted. You take the safe job instead of the better opportunity. You don't negotiate your salary because you can't afford to risk it. You swipe the credit card because you know the checking account can't handle it. You're not making bad decisions because you're bad with money. You're making stress decisions because your financial foundation has a crack in it. So why $10,000 specifically? Here's the reveal. Behavioral economists have studied what they call the financial security threshold, the point at which your relationship with money fundamentally shifts from reactive to proactive. And while it varies slightly by location and income, for most people earning between $35,000 and $85,000 in the U.S., that inflection point lands right around $10,000 in liquid, accessible savings. Below that number, your brain is in financial survival mode. Above it, something measurably changes. A 2019 study out of the Urban Institute found that families with even $2,000 in liquid savings were less likely to experience hardship after a financial shock, but the behavior change, the actual decision-making shift, becomes statistically significant closer to 3 months of basic expenses. For most people in that income range, that's between $8,000 and $12,000. $10,000 is the clean, memorable version of that range. And clean and memorable matters because you'll actually chase a number you can visualize. Here's where it gets interesting, and this is the psychological part most financial content skips entirely. When you don't have a financial cushion, every decision you make is unconsciously filtered through fear. Researchers call this bandwidth tax. It's the cognitive load of financial stress, and studies from Princeton and Harvard show it measurably reduces your effective IQ in financial decision-making by the equivalent of losing a full night of sleep. Every night, indefinitely. But once you cross that $10,000 line, the bandwidth frees up. You start thinking in longer time horizons. You start evaluating opportunities instead of just threats. The Roth IRA conversation starts making sense because your brain has the capacity to think 30 years ahead. The investment comparison becomes interesting instead of overwhelming. The $10,000 isn't just savings. It's the purchase price of a completely different mental operating system. Let's run the math so this lands concretely. Say you're earning $52,000 a year. After taxes, you're taking home roughly $3,400 a month. If you set aside 15% of that $510 a month, you hit $10,000 in just under 20 months, less than 2 years. But here's the opportunity cost most people never calculate. The average American carries $6,000 in credit card debt at 22% APR. If you're making minimum payments on that while trying to invest, you are mathematically guaranteed to lose money. That 22% interest charge is destroying any 8 to 10% market return before it even starts working for you. The $10,000 cushion changes that equation. It means the next unexpected $800 expense doesn't go on the card. It means you stop feeding the 22% monster. Over 5 years, breaking that cycle is worth more than almost any investment you could have made instead. So what does crossing $10,000 actually change in real life? 3 things, specifically. First, your career decisions change. When you have no cushion, you can't afford to leave a bad job. You can't negotiate firmly. You can't take 3 weeks to find the right next role. The $10,000 cushion is leverage. It buys you the ability to make career moves from a position of choice, not desperation, and a single well-negotiated salary jump can be worth $200,000 over a career. Second, your relationship with debt changes. You stop using credit cards as emergency infrastructure. The card goes from a lifeline to a convenience. That psychological shift alone saves most people thousands per year in interest. Third, you start making investing decisions with a clear head. Instead of panic buying whatever your coworker mentioned at lunch, you have the mental space to learn what you're actually doing. That's not a small thing. Emotional investing mistakes panic selling, chasing trends cost the average retail investor roughly 1.5% in annual returns. Compounded over 30 years on a $100,000 portfolio, that's over $80,000 in lost growth. Calm beats clever. Every time. Now here's the warning, and pay attention to this part because it's where most people blow it. The biggest mistake people make right at the $10,000 milestone is treating it like a finish line instead of a foundation. You hit $10,000, you feel incredible, and that feeling is real. You earned it, but then the lifestyle creep starts. The slightly nicer apartment, the car upgrade, the subscriptions you wouldn't have considered at $2,000 saved. The $10,000 only changes your life if you keep it. It's not a reward fund. It's not a down payment holding account. It is your new financial floor, the number you do not go below. That reframe is everything. The goal isn't to save $10,000 once. The goal is to become the kind of person who lives above $10,000 permanently. Here's the identity shift I want you to carry out of this video. You are not trying to get rich. Not yet. You are trying to get stable, because stability is what unlocks every other move. The Roth IRA, the index funds, the real estate conversations, the salary negotiation, all of it becomes clearer, smarter, and more effective once the foundation is solid. You don't need a perfect budget. You don't need to know what a mutual fund is yet. You need one number and a reason to believe it changes everything. The number is $10,000, and now you know why.